Welcome back, coin collectors. Today we're exploring one of America's most iconic coins, the Liberty Lincoln Wheat Penny 1 cent. At first glance it may look like an ordinary old penny, but some wheat pennies have sold for hundreds, thousands, and even hundreds of thousands of dollars because of their rarity, mint marks, and famous minting errors. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of President Abraham Lincoln, the wheat penny became the first regular U.S. coin to feature a real historical figure, making it a landmark in American coin history. United States Mint. In this video, we'll uncover the history behind the Lincoln Wheat Penny, reveal the most valuable dates and rare error varieties, explain what makes certain coins so desirable, and show you exactly what to look for in your own collection. Stay with us until the end. You might discover that an old penny hiding in your pocket, coin jar, or family collection is worth far more than just 1 cent. Liberty Wheat Penny 1 cent coin 1942 may seem like nothing more than an old copper cent tucked away in a forgotten drawer. But beneath its familiar appearance lies a story that has fascinated collectors for generations. Struck at the Denver Mint during one of the most intense years of World War II, this coin was produced at a time when America was rapidly shifting industries toward the war effort, making every metal resource valuable. Although millions were minted, only a tiny fraction survived decades of circulation with their original details intact. The bold D mint mark beneath the date instantly connects the coin to its birthplace, while its warm reddish copper color, paired with the iconic wheat ears on the reverse, creates an unmistakable design that continues to capture attention. What appears ordinary today could, under the right circumstances, become one of the most talked-about discoveries in a collection. As demand for military supplies increased across the nation, the presses at Denver operated under enormous pressure, producing coins that sometimes displayed subtle but fascinating characteristics. Slight differences in striking pressure, die wear, and planchet preparation created unique personalities among individual 1942 D cents. Some display razor-sharp wheat lines and crisp lettering, while others reveal softer details that tell the story of heavily used dies. These tiny differences may seem insignificant to casual observers, yet experienced collectors often spend years searching for examples with exceptional eye appeal, unusually bold strikes, or remarkably original surfaces. The coin's connection to a defining historical moment adds another emotional layer, transforming it from a simple cent into a small copper witness to history. The intrigue deepens when collectors begin searching for unusual varieties and mint-made anomalies. A carefully preserved 1942 D may reveal slight doubled lettering on parts of the design, unexpected die polishing lines, off-center strikes, or minor die cracks that developed as production continued. Some examples display attractive repunched mint mark characteristics discussed by specialists, while others show fascinating die chips or cuds formed late in a die's life. None of these automatically guarantee extraordinary value, but they dramatically increase the excitement of examining every coin under proper lighting. Many remarkable discoveries have begun with someone noticing what first appeared to be an insignificant detail, only to learn that the feature represented a highly collectible mint-made characteristic. That excitement naturally leads to the question everyone asks: what could a 1942 D wheat penny actually be worth? The answer depends on authenticity, condition, rarity of any variety, and current collector demand. Illustrative market scenarios sometimes place attractive minor variations between about $2,500 and $3,500, while particularly high-grade coins have occasionally inspired discussions around $5,000. Certain unusual mint anomalies may attract attention near $6,000. Rare collector favorite pieces might approach $7,500. Exceptionally preserved or uncommon examples can sometimes be compared with values around $8,000. Unusual finds with especially strong collector demand may be discussed near $8,500. and extraordinary or historically significant pieces have occasionally been associated with figures approaching $9,000. These numbers are examples only, never guarantees, because every coin is evaluated individually and the market constantly changes. Imagine discovering one while searching through an old family coin jar that had remained untouched for decades. What first looked like an ordinary penny could suddenly represent a financial surprise comparable to a down payment on a home, an unexpected windfall that arrives without warning, or one of those once-in-a-lifetime discoveries collectors dream about for years. Stories like these continue to inspire treasure hunters because remarkable coins are often found in inherited collections, forgotten albums, estate sales, or rolls obtained from local banks. Most searches end with common pieces, but every genuine discovery reminds collectors why the hunt remains so captivating. Before assuming any coin is valuable, responsible examination is essential. Start by checking the coin's weight using an accurate digital scale, since differences can sometimes point toward unusual planchets or alterations requiring closer study. Observe the metal color carefully, noting whether the original copper surfaces remain natural or show signs of cleaning. Inspect the strike alignment to see whether the design is properly centered. Examine the rim shape for unusual formations, and study every letter and number under magnification to identify possible doubling that originated during the minting process rather than later damage. Patience, careful observation, and accurate documentation are far more valuable than rushing to conclusions. Professional authentication becomes the final and most important step whenever a coin appears unusual or potentially valuable. Reputable grading services carefully examine authenticity, identify legitimate mint errors, evaluate surface preservation, and assign a recognized grade that gives collectors confidence in the coin's quality. Many pieces that seem extraordinary turn out to be common circulation damage, while a few overlooked coins reveal genuinely scarce characteristics invisible to the untrained eye. That difference explains why experienced collectors rely on expert evaluation instead of assumptions, protecting both buyers and sellers from costly mistakes while preserving the integrity of the hobby. The greatest mystery surrounding the Liberty Wheat Penny 1-cent coin 1942D is that countless examples may still be hiding in forgotten boxes, inherited collections, dusty desk drawers, or overlooked jars of spare change, waiting for someone curious enough to take a closer look. Every coin has its own journey, and every careful inspection carries the possibility of uncovering a detail that changes an ordinary cent into an unforgettable discovery. The next remarkable treasure could be resting just inches away without anyone realizing its significance, and the coin we'll uncover next may reveal an even more astonishing secret that has left seasoned collectors completely speechless. Liberty Wheat Penny 1-cent coin 1951 quietly carries the weight of an era when America was racing through the early years of the 1950s, and millions of these small bronze coins slipped through countless hands without anyone imagining they would one day become objects of fascination. Struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the tiny D mint mark beneath the date, the 1951 D. Lincoln Wheat Penny represents the closing years of the beloved wheat cent design before it would eventually give way to the Lincoln Memorial reverse. At first glance it seems ordinary, with Abraham Lincoln's familiar portrait on the obverse and two elegant wheat stalks framing the words, 1 cent, on the reverse. Yet collectors know that the smallest details often separate an everyday coin from an unforgettable discovery. Every scratch, every gleam of original mint luster, and every tiny striking characteristic tells a story that has survived for more than 7 decades. The Denver Mint produced well over 600 million examples of the 1951 D Wheat Penny, making it a common date in circulated grades. But the true excitement begins when preservation enters the conversation. Most examples spent years rattling through cash registers, resting in jars, or disappearing into forgotten drawers, slowly losing their sharp details with every exchange. Finding one today with crisp wheat lines, bold lettering, blazing red surfaces, and virtually no wear is dramatically more difficult than simply finding the date itself. Collectors often chase original color, since brilliant red copper commands greater interest than coins that have mellowed into brown through decades of oxidation. This difference in appearance can transform a familiar penny into an impressive collector's piece, proving that condition is often just as important as rarity. Then come the subtle features that ignite conversations among experienced collectors. While the 1951 D is not famous for a major, widely recognized error variety, careful examination can still reveal striking anomalies that make individual coins stand apart. Off-center strikes, minor die cracks, clipped planchets, repunched mint marks on earlier die preparations, and occasional doubling effects created during the minting process can all increase collector interest when properly authenticated. Many apparent errors are actually the result of circulation damage or machine doubling, making careful study essential before drawing conclusions. The thrill comes from knowing that every coin deserves a closer look because genuine mint-made varieties, while uncommon, continue to emerge from collections assembled decades ago. Professional collectors rarely rely on appearance alone. They examine weight using an accurate digital scale, knowing that a standard bronze wheat penny should weigh approximately 3.11 grams with only slight manufacturing tolerance. They compare the coin's color to determine whether the original copper alloy remains intact, inspect the strike alignment for unusual deviations, evaluate the rim for irregular formation, and search every letter under magnification for true hub doubling rather than ordinary wear. Tiny differences invisible to the naked eye may completely change how a coin is understood, which is why experienced numismatists recommend resisting the temptation to clean or polish any potentially valuable find, since doing so can permanently reduce its desirability. Stories of overlooked coins continue to fuel the imagination because remarkable discoveries sometimes begin in the most ordinary places. A forgotten coffee can in a garage, an inherited collection tucked into a closet, or a handful of change received after a simple purchase can suddenly become the beginning of an exciting investigation. Most 1951 D wheat pennies remain modest collector coins, but exceptional preservation, verified mint-made errors, or unusual characteristics can make individual examples significantly more desirable than the average piece. That possibility keeps collectors searching, even though extraordinary finds remain the exception rather than the rule. Illustrative market scenarios often help explain how dramatically values can differ, but they should never be interpreted as guarantees. Minor but authenticated variations might be discussed in examples ranging from about $2,500 to $3,500, while unusually attractive high-grade pieces might be compared to examples around $5,000. Authenticated mint anomalies could be illustrated around $6,000, especially desirable collector pieces around $7,500, exceptionally preserved or uncommon examples around $8,000, unusual finds attracting intense collector demand around $8,500, and extraordinary historically significant examples reaching or exceeding $9,000 in special circumstances. These figures are purely illustrative and actual market prices depend on authenticity, grading, rarity, eye appeal, and current collector demand. Imagine discovering that what looked like an ordinary penny could represent the equivalent of a down payment on a home, an unexpected financial windfall, or the kind of once-in-a-lifetime story that families tell for generations. That emotional possibility explains why collectors continue searching through old jars, inherited albums, estate sales, and forgotten boxes with unwavering optimism. Yet excitement should always be balanced with careful judgment. Before assuming any coin is exceptional, compare its weight, inspect its metal color, study the strike alignment, evaluate the rim shape, and look closely for genuine letter doubling. Most importantly, seek professional authentication from a respected grading service before making conclusions about rarity or value. The next time a 1951 D Liberty Wheat Penny appears in your pocket change or an old collection, remember that history often hides behind the most familiar objects, waiting for someone curious enough to look a little closer. While most examples are worth only modest amounts, a truly remarkable specimen can tell an extraordinary story that reaches far beyond its face value. The greatest discoveries begin with careful observation, patient research, and a willingness to examine what everyone else ignores. And just when you think you've seen the most fascinating wheat penny of them all, another mysterious coin with an even more unbelievable story is waiting to challenge everything collectors thought they knew. The Liberty Wheat Penny 1-cent coin 1955 D may not have the instant fame of its legendary Philadelphia cousin, but that is exactly what makes it so fascinating. At first glance, it appears to be just another ordinary copper cent that passed through countless hands during America's booming post-war years. Yet every tiny detail tells a deeper story. Struck at the Denver Mint, identified by the small d beneath the date, this coin represents an era when millions of Americans carried pocket change without imagining that decades later collectors would examine those same coins under magnification. Most examples remain common, but hidden among ordinary survivors are pieces with exceptional preservation, striking characteristics, or unusual mint-made anomalies that can transform an overlooked coin into something far more intriguing. Every scratch, every ridge along the rim, and every sharply defined wheat stalk becomes another clue in a mystery waiting to be solved. As collectors continue searching through old jars, inherited collections, and forgotten bank rolls, the 1955 D Wheat Penny has earned quiet respect for reasons that go beyond its mintage. Unlike dramatic headline coins, its appeal grows through subtle differences that only careful observation reveals. Some examples display remarkably sharp strikes that fully reveal Lincoln's hair and coat details, while others exhibit attractive original reddish color that has somehow survived decades of circulation. These qualities are becoming increasingly difficult to find because most coins experienced years of everyday use, gradually losing the brilliant surfaces they once possessed. The excitement comes from realizing that an apparently ordinary penny could actually preserve characteristics that many collectors spend years hopping to discover. Then come the unexpected surprises that make experienced numismatists pause. Minor die chips, interesting die cracks, off-center strikes, repunched mint marks from earlier production practices, and other genuine mint-made varieties can dramatically increase collector interest when properly authenticated. It is important to separate true mint errors from post-mint damage because scratches, dents, machine damage, and environmental corrosion often imitate valuable varieties without actually adding value. The difference between a genuine collectible anomaly and ordinary, where may be almost invisible to the naked eye, which is why professional grading and authentication remain essential before drawing conclusions about rarity or value. That is where the story becomes even more captivating. Imagine opening an old family coin box expecting nothing unusual, only to discover a beautifully preserved 1955 D Wheat Penny with remarkable eye appeal. Most circulated examples are worth only modest amounts, but exceptional coins with outstanding preservation, rare authenticated mint errors, or highly desirable varieties can command significantly stronger prices in the collector market. Illustrative examples sometimes discussed include figures around $2,500 to $3,500 for certain scarce authenticated varieties, around $5,000 for extraordinary high-grade certified pieces, approximately $6,000 for unusual verified mint anomalies, roughly $7,500 to $8,500 for especially desirable certified collector examples. And in extraordinary, historically significant cases, values approaching $9,000 have been reported. These figures are illustrations rather than guarantees, and every coin's actual market value depends on authenticity, condition, rarity, certification, and current collector demand. Those numbers naturally spark the imagination because they represent far more than dollar signs. For one person, an exceptional authenticated coin could equal the down payment on a home. For another, it could feel like a sudden financial windfall discovered inside an old coffee can tucked away in a closet for generations. Stories like these fuel the passion of collectors everywhere, not because every penny is valuable, but because the possibility of uncovering something extraordinary keeps the search alive. That emotional connection transforms a simple 1-cent coin into a historical artifact capable of preserving memories alongside potential value. If you decide to inspect a 1955 Wheat penny yourself, patience becomes your greatest tool. Compare its weight to published specifications using an accurate digital scale, paying attention to anything that falls outside normal tolerances. Study the metal color under good lighting, looking for original red surfaces instead of altered or artificially cleaned copper. Examine the strike alignment to ensure important design elements appear properly positioned. Inspect the rim for unusual shapes or striking errors, and carefully search for genuine letter doubling that differs from ordinary machine doubling or wear. Small details often determine whether a coin is simply interesting or genuinely collectible, making careful examination far more valuable than quick assumptions. Professional authentication remains the safest path whenever a coin appears unusual. Certified grading services use experienced specialists who evaluate authenticity, condition, strike quality, surface preservation, and possible mint errors using standardized methods recognized throughout the hobby. That independent evaluation can mean the difference between a coin with sentimental value and one that receives serious attention from advanced collectors. It also protects owners from unrealistic expectations by replacing guesswork with documented professional opinions supported by established grading standards and current market knowledge. The next time a handful of pennies slides across your kitchen table or an old coin album appears during a family cleanup, remember that history sometimes hides in the smallest places. Most 1955 Wheat pennies will remain ordinary reminders of a remarkable era, but every so often an authenticated exceptional survivor reminds the collecting world that remarkable discoveries are still possible. Somewhere tucked inside an overlooked collection, a forgotten roll, or a dusty drawer, another fascinating coin may be waiting for the right eyes to recognize it. And the next coin we explore may reveal an even more unbelievable story hiding in plain sight.